In Jeremy Shaki's technical education company, the workforce of around 75 has not always been so enthusiastic about telecommuting. However, as the pandemic continues and Lighthouse Labs invests more in infrastructure and employee programs to make remote working more enjoyable, perceptions are shifting. As the months of September to November of last year wore on, we started asking people, "Do you want to come back to work or not?" said Mr. Shaki, co-founder and chief executive officer. Direction of Lighthouse Labs. Shaki believes his company's investments in remote infrastructure and furniture allowances to improve employee home workspaces have helped make workers more comfortable with telecommuting. And, at the end of the day, it also works really well for the company, says Shaki. Now he can increase his workforce without having to increase his office space and drive up associated costs. According to the results of a new Business Development Bank of Canada (BDC) survey, 74% of small and medium-sized business owners said they plan to offer their employees the option to work remotely after the pandemic. They also found that 55% of employees would prefer to continue working remotely as much as they did during the pandemic, if not more. Pierre Claro, chief economist at BDC, said that while it might seem that small businesses would prefer a face-to-face office environment, where there are closer ties, many of these organizations have found advantages in working at distance. They were kind of forced to do it, but they realized that it was working and that there were a lot of benefits for themselves and for their employees, he said. They were kind of forced to do it, but they realized that it was working and that there were a lot of benefits for themselves and for their employees. The fact that employers were forced to set up remote working during the pandemic is important, Claro said, because it means they have invested in IT infrastructure and security measures. It also means that small and medium-sized businesses, which would find it even more difficult to make these investments due to limited capital, now have the ability to have a remote workforce. As a result, companies surveyed from most sectors of the economy are planning to implement telecommuting after the pandemic.